Well, hello, people. I finished reading Ray Dalio's new book, Changing World Order. Uh, it was really good, a lot of fun. He's a really well-known investor. I'm sure you've heard of him. And he talks about he talks about cycles of change with countries, rising and falling. He talks about three kinds of currencies. He has all kinds of good advice on how to manage risk probabilistically. His book is in plain English, nothing fancy. You don't have to go to Wikipedia to look up obscure references and so on. And I think, having lived in China for a long time, in Shanghai, Beijing, and Hong Kong, and having done a lot of things in Singapore, Thailand, and living in Japan for 10 years, I think he really has great cultural insights into China, as well as business insights. I think he sees things very clearly and accurately, as much as one can. He emphasizes that you can't predict the future, which is true. And but he really does have a lot of really good modeling that helps him in his business and life. And I think it's a really good read. After spending my time in the neo-reactionary sandbox, playing with that, it was refreshing to read a couple of books from people who are just seeing the world the way it is and the way you have to deal with it right now, as opposed to some conservative utopian romanticism that's not going to happen. If you want to balkanize the United States and have a bunch of DAO, decentralized autonomous organizations, city-states and whatnot, that's fine. But how do you defend your tiny little kingdom from states like China? You don't have the resources. You don't have the power. So you have a bunch of really hardly powerful cliques competing with one another, trying to figure out how to trade with one another, how to get the resources they need. Or maybe they just want to go back, 500 years. And I was just at the Obido's medieval festival, and it's so much fun to go and visit a medieval or a festival, but you can't imagine how it is living like that, Where do you get the power and the resources and the information and the expertise across networks to make vaccines, to innovate so that people can live healthier, better lives? Oh, it's just that, the king's going to take care of you and his nobles. Because don't you know, nobles are noble? And they have all the right motivations because they care so much about the plebs and the proles, the tenant farmers. Or the fascist dictator really gives a shit about the soldiers, right? Hell no, cannon fodder. It's amazing after 20 years of war in Afghanistan. Obviously it was a limited kind of war, but it was war. The number of U.S. casualties was quite low because America puts a premium on its human resources. And so they don't like to have their people killed, and they do their best to try to fight a war safely, reduce casualties, you know? Well, contrast that with an all-out real war between Russia and Ukraine, a proxy war. You can't argue against that, where they're using the big guns to pound populations and enemy positions and vaporize people. The casualty rate is uncomparable. And you even have to look at ISIS in Iraq and ISIS in Syria and the Syrian war and so on. And you can compare it to, you know, when the Balkans went to war. It's horrific. Yeah, compare, contrast. So now people want a divorce in the States because everybody with their internet bubbles has been worked up into a situation where they think they can't live with each other. And they take for granted everything they have that the network and the state and globalization has gotten them. Everything they have. And they're all pissed off. And they hate each other for ideological reasons. And they don't read books, even if they're modernists. They've never read Derrida or Foucault or anybody. I think Geo, this Christian traditionalist, is the best kind of introduction to all the different flavors of the new right, the alt-right, traditionalism. He's done a lot of work, and he knows what he's talking about, and he's honest. He'll actually tell you what he thinks and tell you what he thinks other, you know, factions are thinking. And you can literally learn a lot about it from him. You can read at his website, his blog, or some of the publications he writes for. Watch him on YouTube, listen to podcasts, if you're interested in wallowing in that sandbox for a while. Because it is important. People are taking these ideas and shallowly applying them to their emotional needs, which may indeed be something like a fascist takeover or a Nazi takeover. You know, who knows? But they're definitely they're excited to use the ideas of Moldbug and Curtis Yarvin. You know, cherry pick bits and pieces from their thinking, and because they sound smart. They've written a lot of words and they sound really smart. They are smart. And so every movement needs its intelligentsia to give it some, you know, power and legitimacy in the heterodox universe. So you go to these guys. I mean, people are still paying attention to Nick Land. I've met all kinds of crazy people in Shanghai, and I love them. But there's nothing really there, you know. It's a kind of theoretical utopianism that's anti-utopianism, because to them everything else is utopianism. Not them, of course. They're realists. They know the dogmatic truth. And all you need is a strong man to tell you what to do. Well, lots of people have written critiques of it, good ones and not so fair ones, that you can explore. I'll do a little desk video about it. And then I'm going to put it to bed, because I know what it is. And for me, there's no there. So I think When I was young, I was interested in the situationist thing, and that was fun. Made me feel smart, made me feel unique. But you know, you can learn a lot from these heterodox intellectual movements, and you can learn to see things from different perspectives, which is always good. And most people just don't give a shit about it. You know, maybe you can get a billionaire to support you if you're lucky, because billionaires think that with their money they can change the world, rule the world, you know, have floating city-states where people are truly free. And there's so many flavors of all these political movements, like libertarianism, accelerationist libertarians, you know, gradualist libertarians, radical this, that, the other thing. You just name it. And you know, somehow, if the United States was just anarcho-capitalist, you know, and you know, it's all this rational free market stuff, human beings, when given the chance, will make decisions that benefit them, and in doing so benefit everything in the universe. Well, it's all interesting, and if you want to have fun with it, go study it, read some of these authors. I'll curate that in my next video. But yeah, you balance that with your Steven Pinker and your you know, conventional mainstream blah writers. Because, you know, the game is what it is, and we're all part of it, whether we think we are or not. When Curtis Yarvin says he voted for Trump, it's like, why? Why vote? And when people refer to Bronze Age pervert as he's clever, he's got a good business idea. Liberalism is boring. This shocking stuff is funny and exciting. All the memes, the humor, the irony, the sincere irony, the ironic sincerity. I think people want to go into their chans and their WhatsApp signal clicks, write blogs, and enjoy these subcultures, thinking that they're pure subcultures, unaffected by all the rest of it. That might be straw manning, that might be unfair, but you know, we're so far above it. You have to take the right colored pill. That's why you can't see it. No, it's a sandbox, it's a little playground, an intellectual playground where you can make yourself feel special. Or you could go write a science fiction book, or a counterfactual history of Vietnam War. So nobody gives a shit. We're gonna put off dealing with the rising China and falling the United States and the balkanization of the United States and various problems, structural problems in Europe, and wars with a new bloc, Iran, Russia, China, so on and so forth. At the last minute, and we're going to do it in a stupid way because our leadership is really, even if they're truly trying to do their best, they're in it for the money. And for the club membership, leadership club, all those nice fancy rooms where they can talk about important things that they're doing for the world. And they're not really doing a Ray Dalio kind of analysis about what's really going on here. So, it's kind of, you're not in the club, so you're going to just react to whatever happens. Circumstance is the most brutal dictator, and that dictator will dictate what you do next. Move, live in a tent, fight in a war, eat cricket burgers, kill somebody so you can eat beef burgers. Whatever your pleasure is. And you'll jump and you'll think that you're a hyper agent, a super agent. Ah, I know where I am now. Okay, I want to go the other way. This restaurant here is really good. They have amazing chicken. Manalvina Taverna. Excellent place. So you'll think, well, I read these books. You know, if you're some Christian apologist who, from whatever branch, and you've done the reading and you know why you believe something, and it's logical and it's rational, it doesn't matter if nobody else believes it, because you have to take that leap of faith. Some people, apologists, are honest. You know, they say in our worldview, this is how things work. Dyer is like that. So you can learn something from him about the Orthodox Christian worldview. You don't have to argue with the guy. You know, he's a very good arguer and debater. But, you know, if you have a different worldview and you just don't see how he gets there by following the church fathers and believing in a couple of things that, if you don't believe in those couple of things, you can't even go there. So for them, it's the Trinity, right? If you don't cop to the Trinity, forget it. You're not in the club, so just don't even bother. Why debate with me if you're not even going to accept my rational and logical foundations to believe in the Trinity? Anyway, boring, right? It's all boring. Yeah, so it's boring. The world's boring. What you really want to do is have a lot of fun, party, buy stuff, pay attention to shiny things, surprising things, shocking things. And then circumstances will come along and bang you over the head with Thor's hammer. And you'll say, oh my God, what happened? But you didn't make a mistake. You personally had nothing to do with it, because there's nothing you can do about these big issues that I shall not name. You're powerless. You have no agency, very little sovereignty. So what can you do about it? Try to make money, be a YouTube influencer, or whatever gig economy thing you're going to do. Program robots. It's like the multipolar trap of what Ray Dalio is talking about. What if your competitor doesn't care about labor? What if China says we're going to give everybody a UBI and let them more or less do what we let them do? And as long as they behave, they'll live, and they'll be safe. Like, they'll have security, a Curtis Yarvin style corporate state security. And we're going to concentrate on building robots and artificial intelligence and other technologies. And we're going to let that take care of us. And if America can't compete, fuck them. You know? Well, of course, that'll lead to a war probably, but, you know, whatever. So if you don't go there to the robots and the UBI or whatever, that's just an example. I mean, I don't even know what all the choices or the probabilities are of things that I don't know shit about happening. But if you don't do it, then you know your competitor's going to do it. And what does that lead to? So China has a general artificial intelligence machine that can chopstick maximize the universe, and you're stuck with, you know, trying to make paper clips in a machine shop. Find the labor to do it, and you can't, so you try to go to Vietnam, but Vietnam has the general AI from China, so they don't want to make your freaking paper clips. So what do you think's going to happen? You're going to travel around taking Instagram pictures of your fantastic life, working on algorithms for creating AI and robots. And somehow you'll get paid for that. And you'll be free, sovereign man, no passport, no taxes. And the rest of the world's just going to let you in. Yeah, come on in, don't worry about it. What's your name? Bob? Okay, welcome. Rent a house. Have fun. Let us know when you leave. I don't think it's going to work like that. People are like, oh my God, we have an app. We have a passport. It has a smart chip in it. We're being fucking tracked. Oh no. And in the same breath, they bitch about porous borders, you know. All the immigrants coming across trying to replace us. And racialism is a thing, but there's no such thing as racism anymore. I'm a racialist, but I'm colorblind. You know, parsing all these terms. Trying to hide within the dog whistles. So, you know, oh, yeah, okay, call me a racist, call me a misogynist, go ahead, call me a fascist, you freaking stupid idiot. You got the brain power of a freaking ant, collectivized. Hive mind, BBB, buzzy buzzy. So the internet came along and smartphones, and everybody dove into their little virtual worlds. Now you can't have friendships anymore because your so-called friend will tell you 5 minutes before they're supposed to meet with you that they can't come, and they'll have a lame excuse for it, and they'll send it over VoIP, some messaging app. And then maybe later, if you're lucky, they'll call you. Because we don't need anything. We're trying to get people that can help us achieve the good life. You know, that cliche, kitsch, Facebook good life. So that you can be cool and live with yourself. Well, the world goes to hell. You need, you know, people in my class, people with money, with power, people who are cool. And we can swap one another out because you can ghost anybody on the internet. So it's a safe space. Yeah, you can get bullied and you can bully if that's your thing. Or you can disappear. We only need what we can buy. And you can rent friends on the internet, no problem. Easy. And if that dopamine channel still works for you and you see a like on your homepage, then you're lucky. The dopamine worked and you got liked. But for everybody, you know, the real work is just too hard. And we hate the world because it's made us lazy. We don't appreciate our situation. And then for some of us who fall out of the comfort of this world, they fall so fast that it's almost instant. And then they can't climb their way out of the woman of the dunes situation because they're stuck. So, yeah, at some point it becomes a woman in the dunes scenario where you're trying to climb up the sand, and the sand just keeps slipping down to the bottom of the pit. And if you're lucky, someone from the village or some billionaire is going to drop you some food, some cricket burgers every once in a while. So that at least down there in your prison cell, you can eat and wake up the next morning and do whatever work they've thrown down at you to justify your existence, to justify your breathing the air. We don't know what's going to happen. We can't predict it. And so we're just going to go along with it until it turns into whatever it's going to turn into. So, bottom line, we're being taught to either get into war mode and fight for something that we think is really good, even though it might not be. Or just live for the moment, dude, you know? Live, love, laugh, and be happy, man. Chill. Take it easy. Enjoy. Do some mindfulness meditation, man. Get a good night's sleep. Eat a Mediterranean diet. Do some exercise. Go for a bike ride. And chill, dude. It's not about you. There's nothing you can do about it. And maybe that's true. I'm cursed because I'm curious, so I see some little universe and I want to go into it and learn about it a bit until I realize that I've had enough, and then I move on. So no, I'm not that expert guy. Yeah, so I was watching this movie and the guy goes, what's your job? And the guy said, I'm a systems engineer. And he said, how many people do you think can do your job? And the guy was thinking, a lot? And he goes, yeah, a lot of people can do your job. Do you know what my job is? You don't know my job because there's no title, there's no description of my job. Do you know how many people can do my job? Only me. I'm the only one that can do my job. So when it comes to a confrontation between me and you, in the world where people are arbitrating and following rules, who do you think's gonna win? That's kind of a mic drop situation. The guy goes, oh fuck, I'm screwed. There's no way I'm gonna win. So he has a come to Jesus moment and realizes that he doesn't have the power to deal with this guy at all. So he gives in a very contrite, polite way. He folds And that's what we're all doing. The players are the players, and we're not. So, if you're going to go to Hollywood to be an actress, you're going into, you better be very mature, very strong, very tough, resilient, extremely smart, strategic, tactical. You have to have a thick skin because there's a million people just like you in that place trying to get attention. And the level of competition in Hollywood is high, probably the highest level in the world. All the best people go there for a bit to try to hone their craft or get jobs with the big companies. And of course, that whole industry is changing now. So it might not be a hugely profitable industry like it used to be. At some point in the future, everything could be low budget, low return on capital. So if you go there, you're going to get chewed up, spit out, and you'll probably become something else very quickly. It's a dangerous, hard knocks world, and it kills a lot of people, literally. And most people go there and realize they're not cut out for it. And then some people go there and get lucky, like Johnny Depp. He's a nice looking boy, can do the job, learn the lines, gets the TV show. So yeah, if you're the type of person that thinks if you buy 1 million lottery tickets, your odds of winning are really a huge amount more, then it'll probably be easy for you to decide to go to Hollywood. And there's 1 million arts programs around the world teaching people how to act or whatever. Cinematography, business. And the winners are few. And it depends on what you define as winning. If it's like, I acted a few jobs and it was really fun and I had a great time and then I moved on to something else, then you're a winner. That's great. And that happens a lot. But our world is in the Western world that we have to defend so badly because what? It's number one? Of course, somebody's going to push you off your perch. I mean, now the neo-reactionaries, they hate the Enlightenment, they hate everything that happened. It's like, look around at how terrible everything is. If we had not discovered oil, not created a steam engine, not learned how to harness electrons, we'd be so much better off. Ignorance is bliss, I don't know shit, I can't read, I walk to the church, it takes me 4 hours to get there, 4 hours to get back. I listen to the guy sing in Latin. I feel blessed. Life is shit, but the next world's gonna be awesome. The Bird is a show I was watching on Apple TV about some guy who goes into a prison to try to get this serial killer to reveal where the bodies are buried and basically confess. For his world is thinking that he'll always get away with it because when he kills a girl, it's just a dream. It's not real. It's not him doing it. And there may be, psychological arguments to make why that's actually true, but he's still out there ripping the engine off of airplanes with 200 people, 200 souls. The monster on the airplane wing is the United States. It's also the airplane. So if it flies right, it lands, everybody gets to get off the plane and go about their day. But if the monster side, the Jekyll and Hyde, if Hyde gets on that wing and tears that freaking engine off, it all crashes. Ignorance is bliss. Donald J. Trump likes uneducated people. Yeah, you double down on educating people, or you double down on brainwashing them. We go back to believing what the Spanish Inquisition believed, and then we're done. You have all these Trotsky-esque intellectual influencers on the right now, curating. Okay, good luck. We'll see, won't we? Take good care. Bulianti out.